Good morning. On your marks, get set, go. I should have said runners before that, but I forgot. Hi, this is Jeremy Murphy, and I am known as the Running Groove Shark. I am a running blogger at runninggrooveshark.com, and I'm here with some tips to teach you how to run streak effectively. And many of you might be wondering, what is a run streak? And that's a good question. And so I'm going to explain that. And I'm going to explain why I'm talking about this and what a run streak has done for me in my life. I want to welcome Nazim and Betty. Look like they joined us briefly here before we got underway. So thank you, Nazim, for stopping in. Nazim lives in Italy, if I remember correctly. I can't remember what city. I should remember that off the top of my head. But it's wonderful to have transatlantic friends here and friends around the world. So let's get right to it. What is a run streak? A run streak is defined as running a mile or more uninterrupted on consecutive days without assistance. And this is defined by Streak Runners International and by the U.S. Running Streak Association. And these entities help keep track of run streaks intact and how long the run streaks are and who has streaked for the most years or days. They keep track of the years, they keep track of the days. And every year I belong to the Streak Runners International and the U.S. Run Streak Association. So every year I get a notice asking, is my run streak intact? And so let me give you some of my background. I'm an asthmatic ultramarathoner, and 2 years ago tomorrow, I began a run streak. I decided the Runner's World Run Streak starts on Thanksgiving Day and runs through New Year's Day inclusive, and I decided I was going to do that. But I decided I wanted to start it a week early to see what run streaking was like. I knew that with my asthma, there could be issues with that I'd have to monitor and maybe make some adjustments with. So I decided on November 19th of 2013 to start a run streak and see how far I could take it and, to see what it could do for me. So the run streak began. It was very cold. There were some challenges with running in the cold. And I will tell you, before I forget, I did a series on Periscope of 10 secrets of run streaking. And those 10 secrets are, I'm going to edit those and try to put those in one video eventually. But I'm going to clip those and put those in a blog post for you so you have them handy. They are on catch.me, which archives all of my Periscopes. So you can watch any of those at any time. You can't do you can't give people hearts on the catch.me because that's the archive material. But I will go through the 10 secrets of run streaking. I don't have that list in front of me right now, and I may give those in a different order today than I did when I did that series. But it seemed like a lot of runners enjoyed that. So anyway, on November 19th, 2013, I started the run streak. And then by Thanksgiving, I had support from Runners World friends around the world on Twitter. I do want to recognize Michael Scott. He's known as Run Nerds Rock on Twitter, and he's also on Facebook. He's a fellow RRCA certified running coach. I'm one as well. But Michael was very inspirational back in November of 2013 when I was starting this run streak. I was watching what Michael was doing, and he was just crushing marathons. He was qualifying for Boston here, there, everywhere. He was crushing PRs, and just he had such an incredible enthusiasm about it, and that's what got my attention. I wanted the excitement and joy back in my running, because sometimes I tended to overdo it, and the run streaking taught me to be more balanced. And so that's one of the tips that I would give you right off the bat. I think the first tip you have to be balanced and intelligent about doing this. you have to designate at least 1 or 2 easy days per week. And for me, that falls on Monday frequently. I'm a Move It Monday ambassador. And so on Mondays, we have what we call the Monday Mile. So instead of taking Monday off to recover from your long runs on Saturday and Sunday, you run at least 1 mile, and that helps satisfy your run streak requirement too, that it be at least 1.00 miles. And of course, those of us who want to make sure it's a little bit over 1 miles, 1 mile, we could, we'll round it up to 1.03, 1.05, just to, make sure we're technically on the correct side of the number. So pick easy days. Designate the days that you're going to go for more effort, more exertion, longer runs. For most of us, those fall in kind of the Friday to Sunday region. I try to pick a day to do a long run midweek. So for me, that's frequently on Wednesday, but not always. Sometimes it falls on a different day of the week. Just depends on schedule and that type of thing. One thing I would highly recommend if you're going to do a run streak, you want to do it with the consultation of a doctor. A lot of us have chronic illnesses or diseases, and we want to make sure that you're doing that with that your physician knows what you're doing, and maybe you can work with that physician and your medical team to make sure that you're doing this the right way, that you're being smart about it. I visit my doctor every once in a while. I go see my asthma doctor once a year. And so I told her that I was doing this run streak, and she thought it sounded a little crazy, but she did, she did say, that's great. You can take it as far as you can, see what you can do. So, but you want to be balanced about it. You want to be smart about it. Designate easy days. These are maybe not going to be complete rest days if you're trying to keep the streak intact. If you get injured, make an adjustment. Take a day off. You can always run streak again later. And it's more important not to push yourself if you're injured, sick, exhausted. Sometimes it's better to just let the streak end. All good things come to an end. For me, I'm going to be very sad when the streak ends because I've never done anything like this. Maybe I did in college, but I didn't track consecutive days of running back then, so it's hard to tell. I think I took a couple of days off back then too. So designate the easy days, designate the hard days. Then you want to maybe have a couple of days where, one tip I would give to runners who are in their 40s or above, what we call the masters age group. You might want to think about cutting some of your runs in half, to cut them into smaller slices. And this is great advice from Jeff Galloway, who's an Olympic marathoner and running coach, fantastic rider. And, that reminds me of another one of my run streak tips would be to take walk breaks. And I learned this from Jeff Galloway and started doing this in about 1999. And it just gave me a lot more endurance. Every mile, on average, I'll take a walk break. Maybe 45 to 60 seconds. Sometimes I'll just count as many steps as I am old, which is, we'll say 40 something. I don't know if I should give the exact number or not, but I'm going to say it's about 20 above, somewhere in the 20s. So hopefully that's definite and specific enough for all of you. But for masters runners, cut them into smaller slices. And this is why I say that. A lot of us have pets. We have a dog. She's a very active English setter. So I love to take her for runs, and, I'll run a mile or so with her, or maybe up to 5K, and drop her back off at home, and then go run again, after I've had some food, a little bit of time to recover, maybe a cup of coffee. So cut your runs into smaller slices. Sometimes, it's better to run a 14-mile run in 2 slices or more than it is to go, run 14 miles, exert yourself too much, get hurt. It's too common for those of us who take running seriously to push too hard and cause injury or illness. We just sometimes we push too hard and our body blows a gasket, and then we pay the price the next day with an injury or illness or that type of thing. So one essential, I know this is on my list on the top 10, is naps. You will get very tired at times if you are doing a run streak. Adjusting to the constant exertion of being that active, it does create some fatigue issues. So the way I work with that is to take naps, power naps, energy naps, 30, 45 minutes, maybe not every day, but there are definitely days where you need it. And, sometimes you just have to, if your body feels the stress of the exertion, you can just lie down and maybe put your feet up on the wall or on a Swiss ball and, the exercise balls. Sometimes that helps to just relieve some of the stress and fatigue. It's very important, and I know this is on my top 10 list too, to adjust your runs. We can have the best of intentions, but if we go out there and we don't have the strength, the endurance, the power that we need to get through a run, it's okay to shorten it. It's okay to adjust. It's okay to just, as I put it, to bag the run and, save your energy for another day. Sometimes we just, if we haven't had adequate sleep or, let's say we run out of coffee, and coffee is an essential part of, a successful run streak for me anyway. That creates some issues of, just being sharp and powerful enough to get through the run streak. So I do want to recognize, looks like Chuck joined us for a while, and thanks for stopping in. Also, Connect Run Club. I guess I saw that this entity subscribed to the Blab, and I'm going to follow up with them later because I'm kind of curious what Connect Run Club does. Never heard of Connect Run Club, but I'm intrigued that runners are becoming more and more connected on social media, in person, and with other folks, and that's very helpful. And to go back to my story, just so you understand how I got past the first 100 days, because that's critical if you're trying to do a long run streak. And maybe for some of you, maybe a 7 to 10 day run streak is dramatic. I mean, you could stack several of those, do a rest day, try again when it works for you. So, but for me, there were 3 of us who were trying to run streak for 100 days, and we were all going to do the Runner's World run streak, the holiday, they call it the Runner's World holiday run streak, I believe is the official title. So I started a week early, and then during that 100 days, from Thanksgiving to New Year's, all 3 of us were locking arms, uniting with purpose, supporting each other when we were tired, pushing each other to make sure we all got to the 100 days. And we did all get to the 100 days. And I think, I believe both of my friends may have stopped their run streaks about then or shortly after that. And I kept going. I decided I feel so good doing this. I'm going to keep going. I have an issue with the winter with being lackadaisical and not wanting to really continue. So with the winter, the run streak's a little tougher. You have to move the runs to the treadmill for a lot of us. A lot of us have ice, snow, cold. With my asthma, I can't really run outside if it's under 20 degrees unless I'm extremely bundled up, and I've got to be very smart about shortening those runs because the cold affects my asthma. So in the winter, I move a lot of my runs to the treadmill. And so I'd urge all of you who are considering a run streak to either invest in a treadmill or try to find access to one. Maybe find a friend or neighbor who has one. Maybe you belong to a health club like, the YMCA or something like that, and you can go and run in that treadmill, and you have the social aspect of running with something like that. Or find a running buddy or companion. Run with your spouse, run with your children, run with your pets. Every run that you run with someone else, it lightens your load. What you're going to notice is Just the physical presence of people helps lift you up. You lift them up, they lift you up. You can support each other and really be able to, move to really a different dimension of running, what I would call a metaphysical level of running. When we think about just the physical aspect of running, but I think it connects to our souls, and it connects to our souls in a meaningful way because you see the outdoors, you connect with the outdoors, in a way that, Thoreau or Ralph Waldo Emerson may have spoke about. I think if either of them were alive today, I think they'd both be trail runners. But that's just my own personal theory. I have no proof of that, but I would hope that they would be open to the possibility, because I guarantee they would be out on the trails walking, writing, looking, soaking up nature. And if we do that, I think we strengthen our souls, we strengthen our physical stamina. It makes us stronger mentally. And one thing I noticed with run streaking is just an amazing burst of creativity. And as a running blogger, you're frequently looking for ideas, and you have no idea what topic you're going to write about next. And you go for a run, and pow, you get 1 to 3 ideas, you get 5 ideas. And so you pull out your phone, you start writing these ideas down, or make your little voice memos to remember what they are. But we also have to find ways to capture those ideas when they occur. And if you run streak, you're going to have a lot more creativity in that respect. So, try to make sure that you have ways to capture the great ideas that will arrive if you do attempt this. Variety is another thing on my top 10 list of how to run streak effectively. You want to have, we talked about the easy days. You're going to maybe have some long runs if you're training for something or have a mileage goal or something. You'd want to have, maybe some fartlek, which is Swedish for speed play. Maybe some tempo runs, which is, starting slower, having a faster portion in the middle and slowing down towards the end. You can do, mile intervals, 800 Yasso 800s. You can do random fartlek. You can do all kinds of fartlek. I try to do my fartlek on Fridays. Hey, I see Muad Kisum has a question. How often should you run? That is a good question, and it varies by individual. For some of us, daily runs are best. For others, every other day. Kind of depends on your physical condition, your age, your training, maybe your training goals. I was mentioning earlier, maybe you didn't catch it, for people in their 40s and above, Jeff Galloway and others, including me, recommend cutting those runs in half or, into smaller slices. So you're maybe running a couple times a day. Some runners will run in the morning, for example, and then maybe do a short run in the evening, or vice versa, depending on work schedules. Sometimes it's hard to squeeze in your runs with the demands of work, family, activities, etc. So, that's what I would say. It really depends on your situation, your training, your goals, how much sleep you're getting. It depends a little bit on your nutrition. Sometimes it even depends on how much coffee you have available and whether you have time to drink it or not. They're just all weather dependence, depending on where in the world you are and that type of thing. That's just something that we try to factor in. Really, for each individual, it's going to vary. But, I try to get people to at least consider running every day, but I realize that's not going to work for everybody. There are retirees who maybe can't run more than 2 or 3 times a week. And, for them, that's fine. They work in walking, swimming, all kinds of other activities. Let's see. Muad says you have 30 minutes free a day. Is that enough? Well, it's certainly a good place to start. It's, if, I started at a point where I couldn't run more than a quarter mile with my asthma without wheezing or feeling like I was overexerting myself. When I started around 1980, that was the situation I was in. And I moved from that point to becoming a marathoner. And last year I ran my first 50K. But the 30 minutes a day is a great place to start. I think, some people might even start lower than that. They might start at, a mile a day. But if, 30 minutes is a great place to start. And you can always, boost it in small increments. There's a rule of thumb, trying not to increase your mileage by more than 10% a week. I think that's a great rule. I've disobeyed that before, I've paid the price. And that's a great point too. I think it's important that runners cross train, and that's on my top 10 list also that I'll be releasing my blog today, using my running periscopes. Any of you who are runners are interested in it, follow me on Periscope, and I can try to get you access to the catch.me, shows you all the archive ones that'll go through the top 10 list and kind of show you I did it in 10 separate Periscope broadcasts, and I can't remember if I made it a baker's dozen or not. I thought about that, stretching the 10 to 12 or 13. But yes, cross training is a big deal. I do, for example, I do Tai Chi. I do swimming, walking, walk the dog a lot. I have a lot of unlogged runs where I'm trying to walk with the dog around the block, but she decides to run. So especially if it's raining, we're going to be running to get back a little sooner because it takes a while to dry off a dog. But yes, Muad, I see you say you play soccer 3 times a week. That's a good workout. That's there's a lot of acceleration and stops and starts with playing soccer, and that's something you'd maybe want to factor into how much you run. I mean, if it's on days you're playing soccer, maybe you run a little less, just so you're not overexerting yourself on certain days, and maybe you do the more intense workouts on the days that you don't play soccer. It's so easy to, you run, you maybe overexert yourself running, and then you go do something else, and then you go do something else, and then you wonder why you did that at the end of the day. So, but yeah, you have to be careful with, there's kind of a tendency for runners to not run during the week, and then you get to the weekend, and so you decide to just run crazy and, try to run 20 miles one day and 10 miles the next day. And wow, that'll create some issues if you're not doing something during the week. And I know during the week, it's extremely difficult for those of us who are working full time to really be able to juggle the demands of that and running during the week. But it's important to try to make time for it, even if it's just, even if it's 10 minutes. Even if it's 7 minutes, I mean, even if you don't have time to run, you can look up high intensity interval training workouts on YouTube. There are all kinds of them that are 7 minutes, 12 minutes. Sometimes you just have to move things indoors, and it's very important to take days off. If you're sick, if you're injured, if you just, if your body's telling you that it's not a good day to run, then don't. This is not for everybody to, try to do a long run streak and see how far you can get. So, but yeah, so today was day 730 in the run streak. So technically the runniversary, the streakiversary, if you will, there are different titles for it. The anniversary of the run streak is technically tomorrow, November 19th of 2015. And the U.S. Run Streak Association and the Streak Runners International, they're wondering the status of my streak. So I have to email them back and tell them, yes, I'm still run streaking. And I'm announcing today that I will be running tomorrow. I am going to try to stretch the streak as far as I can. My tentative goal is to take this to day 888. And why 888? Well, The number 8 is a lucky number in China, and our daughter is. We adopted our daughter from China, so that gives me a little bit of a lasso. I'm trying to use that to maybe get to day 1,000. And if I can get to that point, and I really hope that I can, God willing, I'm hoping to just take this as far as I can. I think, it's very important. One thing that I've noticed, it just transforms your health. I had inflammation issues with my asthma as recent as last August. And what I noticed is the inflammation went away, not immediately, but it did help to, balance good, the medicine my doctor recommended, her recommendations, and taking the easy days when I needed them. And some days of this run streak, I maybe had an easy week after my 50K last October. I think I only ran a mile a day for, at least 7 to 10 days after that, recovering, realizing, okay, I just ran, a 50K is 31.22 miles. And, I definitely didn't feel like running too long after that for a while. It takes a while for your legs to recover from that, from a marathon, from a full marathon. But the run streak has allowed me to get faster, stronger. I've lost weight. I've had better mental motivation, a lot more positivity. And in 2004, I ran the New York City Marathon in 4:21. And I'm excited that in May of this year, I ran faster. I ran faster than I ran in New York in a full marathon here in Lincoln, Nebraska. So I ran a 4:19. And actually, I guess the 50K, the marathon split, was actually under the New York pace too. So at least twice in the past year, I've been under the pace that I ran a full marathon 10 years ago. And so, I like to do fun things like that. I'll look at my, personal records or fastest marathon from a while back and try to beat it. Because ultimately, if you're running it, it's not necessarily a race with everybody around you. You're racing yourself. You're racing if you're trying to transform your life, you're racing yourself. You're trying to push yourself to the very summit of the mountain that I think all of us are, meant to travel to if we're runners. And sometimes that means inspiring others. Sometimes it might mean maybe running a 5K and running a personal record, or a half marathon, or a full marathon, or an ultra marathon. And I really want to thank, some people in particular who have really pushed me and encouraged me in this journey. It's been difficult. It's not easy to run streak to day 730, or even past the first 100 days. I mean, the temptation to stop and rest and just sleep, hibernate, if you will, is very intense. But the laws of inertia, an object in motion stays in motion unless and until it collides with something else that'll stop it. It's really true with run streaking. There's a momentum thing. You have to light a fire inside and throw logs on it every once in a while to keep things going. But I really want to recognize the influence of Phil McCarthy, one of my best friends. We've known each other since first grade. Phil is an amazing world-class ultramarathoner. He's been a great inspiration to me. He recently won a 6-day race in New York on his first attempt. And I think the two of us, we've just had an amazing impact on each other's lives, and really encouraging each other to chase our dreams, being there when times got tough, and telling each other that you can do this. We have doubts and, uncertainty, fear, things like that cloud our vision and make it unclear. But if we have great friends like that stand with us, it really makes a difference. I talked earlier about Michael Scott, the influence of Run Nerds Rock, of the fellow running coach. And, he was asking people to check in with their daily runs, and for people that were run streaking to tell him what day they were on. And I mean, that kind of accountability really helps a lot. And there is a Streak Runners, the U.S. Run Streak Association is on Facebook. And so if you need that type of system where you can just report into other run streakers and do that with, a picture or a map of your run on Strava or Garmin Connect, whatever you use, it's a great community. I belong to it. And, it's nice to be able to tell people if you reach a milestone like like today, I'm going to, tell them that I'm still run streaking and what day I'm on. And it inspires so many others. It inspires the people that are on day 1 or day 49, whatever day they're on, if they're trying to run streak, and encourages them and shows them that, look, yes, I have asthma. Yes, I've had asthma with issues as recent as just over a year ago. But by being smart about it and taking my health seriously and making my health more than a hobby, but making it intentionally wanting to transform my health for the better, realizing that I had to, I absolutely had to do that. I discovered I had cholesterol issues 2 years ago, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, and my doctor said, "You've got to make changes." And I asked her, "Well, what changes am I supposed to make?" And she said, "I don't know. You go figure it out. This is the managed care in the United States of medicine. This is the state of medicine in the United States." So, my brother, so I asked my brother, "What should I do?" And he said, "Well, cut back on your meat consumption." So I did that. I don't eat meat 2 days a week anymore. And gave up dairy, discovered I was lactose intolerant. So there were a lot of nutritional things that had to be done to make the run streak extend and just give me a lot more energy and endurance. Let's see. Yes, I do have a channel on YouTube, and I can, I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Muad. I'm going to drop that link at the end of the broadcast. Right now I'm still kind of holding my mic because I don't really have it on a stand or whatever, and just kind of holding it in the air. But I will drop that link at the end of the broadcast here, so you have it. So I will say yes. I'll get that to you soon. And let's see. I want to welcome Sergios has joined us. Thanks for joining us. We're just talking about how to run streak effectively. My name is Jeremy Murphy. I'm an RRCA certified running coach. I live in Lincoln, Nebraska. That's in the Great Plains, or the Midwest, or the central United States. Technically, the geographical center is in Kansas, and I'm one state north of that, if that helps. I don't know where, I guess I'm not sure where either of you are from. I don't know if you want to type that in the chat or not, but I'm always curious, who's around and, where they're running from, or where they're running to, or where they like to run. So, I've discovered that trail running helps a lot. And that would be another one of my top 10 tips, was to run trail runs. My 50K that I ran last year technically was a trail run. So that, that got me even more hooked on trail running. Just the beauty of the trees, the leaves. Watch out for all the obstacles, though, the branches, the rocks, the animals that might cross your path. You never know what's going to happen on a trail run. So, anyway, work trails in there. It's kind of nice to run in snow if you're careful and you have maybe yak tracks or something like that. You have the soft carpet of the snow. Just don't try to take those yak tracks through a snowdrift, okay? Or you'll ruin your yak tracks. I did this last year. I tried to go downhill through a large snowdrift with yak tracks, and of course the snowdrift was steeper than I thought. So, I fell dramatically in the snow, and I'm so glad there wasn't a camera there to record that. But anyway, live and learn. We all have limits, and yak tracks have limits too. You can't, stretch those more than they're intended to, or they just don't function quite as well. And then you have to buy some new yak tracks or something to cover your shoes so you're not slipping on the ice. Some runners will insert spikes and things like that to get through the winter running. I guess for any of you that run in the winter, I'm kind of curious what you use to get through it. you know, besides running in a treadmill, got to have, you know, gloves and cold weather gear and things of that nature. So keep that in mind. And you know, those are really, you've got to develop a support network and circle to help you get through a run streak. That, you know, that may involve someone like a running coach, might involve running buddies, running groups, or running groups that run at specific times and days here in Lincoln. I'm sure many of those might have you. That's just make sure that support network is there and that you can have running buddies virtually and in person that can help you, and you know, maybe at least one friend that's a coach who can help you with running tips from time to time. And you know, there are all kinds of running blogs, you know, that have free training tips there and other content that can be helpful. There are other running coaches that have you know, great YouTube videos on cross training you can do, stretching, things like that. I'd highly recommend the book by Meb Keflezighi, Meb for Mortals. If you haven't read that, there's a lot of great material in there. It's just a lot of world-class athletes that have shared great knowledge. So, you know, keep those in mind. Let's see. Muad, I see you have a question. Just want to know, for how long can I run? Well, based on what's happened before, I can tell you I can run for at least 50K. I've done that twice. I did it in a race situation in October. I ran my first competitive 50K and did well. It was about a 5:15, quite a bit faster than I was expecting. It was hard for me to tell how fast to run a 50K, having not run one before. So that's, I would say 50K. And, you know, the other 50K that I ran happened in January. And there, we were doing a kind of an unusual men versus women running challenge. And the women were in the lead on the last day. And I realized that if I ran a 50K, the men had a tiny chance to beat the women for the first time in 3 challenges. So I ran the 50K, and the men barely beat the women. And I'm sure the women will get us back very soon because, you know, there's always payback for that kind of thing for competitive challenges. That's kind of fun, though. I mean, if you have, you know, I do periodic monthly running challenges if I think I can work them into my schedule. I don't do them every time they arise because sometimes they're just simply too crazy a time with work or, you know, the coaching or other things I have to do. So, you know, in January, I had to finish. The beauty of the story is on January 31st of this year, I had to finish the 50K in the snow. The treadmill stopped working. I ran like 3 or 4 runs in the treadmill. Treadmill stopped, and I decided, okay, I'm running in the snow. Doesn't matter. I have to do this. I need to do this. You know, I was having cabin fever from the snow and cold, and you know, it was a beautiful run. It was a slushy run, and there was a fox on the trail part of it. I mean, you couldn't even you couldn't line some of this up. I do want to welcome Mary Beth for joining us. Hi, Mary Beth. Glad you can make it. Appreciate you stopping in. Just talking about how to run streak effectively. I had the good fortune of running for the 730th consecutive day today. So today is the completion of the first 2 years of this run streak. And I am announcing that I'm going to continue that. And I need to notify the streak runners groups that I'm continuing because they're keeping the master list and keeping track of who has the longest run streaks and who has the shortest run streaks and who's streaked for how many years and that kind of thing. And it's interesting to me. It connects you with people in an interesting way that you would never have any way of learning where they are with their fitness. And you learn there are other people that have run streaks that are within a day of yours or something. And I mean, that forms kind of a special, sort of unusual running bond. but it also forms a friendship, and it it links the runners in meaningful ways that we otherwise might not be able to attempt. So, see, we have a question from Mary Beth. Let's see, and I'll read it. To use the walk-run method, I think Galloway calls it the run-walk method, but people call it different things. Need to get back to training. Haven't trained since San Diego half marathon. It's been way too hot here in Florida. Yes, I mentioned earlier in 1999 I started doing the run-walk method that Jeff Galloway has written about, and others have too, but I think Galloway's being given the credit. And I do use the run-walk method. Usually take a break about every mile, sometimes more than that. I can kind of tell sometimes if my asthma is acting up, or if it's a high pollen count or something like that. I've got to be careful with that because I'm allergic to most pollen and mold and just all kinds of other things. But we won't get in, we'll just talk about the environmental factors now. That has an impact. Humidity, if it's very hot and humid, you've got to take more breaks. So yes, I do use the run-walk method, and have since about 1999. Might be some days that I just don't do it if it's a shorter run or less exertion. But yes, I do use the run-walk method, and I highly recommend it to anybody that's trying to get into running or maybe reaching roadblocks. Sometimes things go wrong, and we can't figure out how to work through it. And the run-walk method does help with that significantly in being able to make sure that we can get through our runs and get through them and have more energy at the end. And I've noticed that if I take these walk breaks and take some of the overexertion factors that I'm inclined to do out of these runs, it just the runs go much better. Okay, Mary Beth, you have another question. What's your pace? Mine is slow, about 14 minutes a mile. My pace varies. If I'm running full throttle and I'm just running 1 mile, I mean, I can burn it if it's flat and run 5 something split, 5:15, but that's not my normal pace. I as an asthmatic runner, I tend to take it easier. My normal racing pace is somewhere, 8 to 9 minute miles, depending on the, on the length of the race. For a marathon, it's maybe closer to, 9 or 10 minute miles, depending on training, rest, that type of thing. So, but I would emphasize with the long, slow runs that we do on the weekends, that's really when most of us do them. I try to run those at about 12 minutes a mile, because and this is based on Galloway's advice and others, that you want to have your long, slow runs need to be at 2 to 3 minutes slower per mile than usual, to allow that for recovery. Otherwise, you just find that you overexert yourself and you don't get through the run as well. You get tired and more fatigue, and all kinds of injuries occur if you run a 17-mile run and you try to run it at 9 minutes per mile, and you should be running it at 12 or 13 minutes per mile. It's always better to err on the side of on the long runs, to go slower than you think, because as runners we tend to think we have to impress everyone and be able to show off what our pace is and talk to everyone about it. And it really should be more about it. The conservation of energy is key for anyone who's training for any race, whether you run streaking or not. You want to make sure that you're conserving energy for the rest of the day, for the next day, and not causing injury, illness, etc. So yeah, so my pace, if I'm running more relaxed pace, it's kind of 10 to 12 minute miles. If I'm doing speed work, it's kind of more in the 5 to 8 minute mile range, depending on the length of the interval or the length of the run. And of course, sometimes there's also the the issue of dog pace races, or not races, but runs for me. Sometimes I'm running the pace the dog wants to run, and we have a dog. I run with her almost daily, and well, whenever I'm around, in town anyway. So, the dog's pace is around, I don't know, 9:30 to 12-minute miles roughly, kind of varying depending on how many squirrels, birds, other exciting animals, other dogs are around. If other dogs are around, we find that our dog pace runs increase in speed quickly, and we have to find those other dogs and run with those other dogs and go meet those other dogs, and hopefully those dogs are on leashes. Some of them have not been lately, and I've had to pick my dog up and continue running with her, which that's a challenge. But that's cross training too. It's weightlifting in the middle of the run. It's technically it's curling your dog, right? You're curling your dog to make sure that you don't let go of the dog. So, but anyway, those are pretty much the training tips that I have for run streaking effectively. I do want to emphasize I'm on Twitter at Jeremy P. Murphy. You can reach me at my running blog is runninggrooveshark.com. I do broadcast a lot of running tips on Periscope. I talked earlier about I did a 10-part series on the 10 secrets of run streaking. And I will grab all those from catch.me and try to throw those in a blog post today, along with today's Periscope celebrating the 2-year run streak. But what I'm trying to say is anyone can do this. If an asthmatic marathoner like me, who struggled to run a quarter mile uninterrupted, as way back in 1979, 1980, when I really got into running, if I can do this, if I can get to a 2-year run streak, anyone can do it. It takes intelligence. You have to vary your workouts. You have to be smart. You have to take what I call restful days, where you're just running a mile and running it at a very slow pace, because you treat your 1 mile days as restful days, and instead of taking a rest day, you take a restful day. And if you're really tired, you might do that for a week or more. And some run streakers are just running 7 to 10 miles a week, and that's acceptable. That's okay. That meets the definition. For older runners, that's maybe the way to go. You don't want to overexert yourself. You don't want to get injured. You don't want to get hurt, and that's enough. Sometimes you, like I mentioned earlier, if you're running and you get overexerted, you get tired, you back off. You adjust. If you don't have the strength, if you have bad weather, if you're not feeling well, you get sick while you're running, or something doesn't feel right, muscle pain, cramps, all kinds of things can go wrong. Suddenly you're in pouring rain, or freezing drizzle, as we have in Lincoln a lot. We have a lot of freezing rain here. I don't really like that very much. The freezing rain really cuts it hurts. It hurts your face, really. So times like that, you have to slice the run, bag it, as I would call it. Put it in the bag. Conserve your energy, save it for another day, but take advantage of the laws of momentum and inertia. You get in motion, you stay in motion. If we can be more active, we can encourage the whole world to be more active and improve people's health in a meaningful way. I think running is contagious, and it's contagious in a good way. And it can be an addiction, and we have to be careful with that, because you want to keep everything in balance. You don't want to make running your whole life. You can make it an important part of your life, but you want to set aside time for your family, for your friends, for having meaningful relationships, for work. But you want to give yourself the space to do something that you love. And in my case, I love to run. Unlike many other things, there are few things that I love to do as much. Maybe playing the piano is obviously in that category. Having played the piano since I was 4 years old, that's very important to me too. But I would emphasize the transformational aspects that running has. It can transform your life. It can transform your life in unanticipated ways. It can have a ripple effect on others. It transforms you on the inside too. There's a transformation of your soul that occurs when you realize how powerful running is and can be if you're connecting with nature, with other runners, other walkers. You have the aspect of being able to run with your pets, with your dogs, with your family, with your friends. You have races where you can say, okay, well, I'm going to sign up for a big race. I'm going to sign up for a half marathon or a marathon or an ultra marathon or a 5K. And I'm going to make that a target point and maybe make that the target race of the year and structure my running around that and use a run streak to wrap my training around and take a training schedule someone else might give me and modify it so that I can make a run streak work. To schedule at least 1 day or 2 days per week or 3 if you're inclined to run easy, to run 1 mile, to run at such a relaxed pace that you're running at the slowest running pace that you can still call running. Some of us, I walk very quickly, but there are times where if I'm running and I'm taking a walk break, that walking pace is 18 minutes per mile. It's relaxed because it has to be. And I've realized that with my asthma that I have to take the walk breaks and that it will extend my endurance, my running career more than it would go before without having done that. Gives you more stamina. It gives you the mental strength and just really makes your, I think running can really make your mind strong. If you really focus on what you're doing and concentrate on it, you want to watch out for obstacles, anything you can trip over while you run. I'm not saying that to scare any of you, but I've had at least one bad fall back in March where I fell and hit my head in the pavement. And that was really the one point in this streak where I seriously thought about not running the next day. It would just, I was worried it was a concussion and all that. And it ended up not being as serious as I thought, but just really have to be careful. You have to make sure that you illuminate your runs this time of year with headlamps, wearing reflective clothing and things like that, so you can be seen and you want others to be seen too. You don't want to be colliding with other runners in the dark because they can't see you. Anyway, think about those things, give them a try. Happy to talk to any of you about running. Love to talk to other runners, and I think if we share running intelligence, we can boost the running intelligence of the whole world and boost it in a meaningful way. I think everyone should kind of collect, if you're a serious runner, you want to try to collect the best information and tips that you can find from any source, whether it's, people in person, information online, other running blogs, running tips. I'll drop the link to my YouTube site. I do have a lot of my Periscope videos on there with running tips. So that's a great way for us to stay in touch and share running intelligence. And you can share it on Periscope. You can share it here on Blab. You can share it on Meerkat. I'm on Meerkat too, but I don't do much there. They're just I think Periscope is lapping Meerkat at this point, is how I would put it. So I'm trying to put most of my running video material either on Periscope or on here on Blab, and then eventually I upload those to YouTube, and several of them are up on my running blog too. So if you check my running blog at runninggrooveshark.com, you'll find articles going back a couple years. Most of them are on running. Sometimes I could address other running topics too, nutrition and my personal battle with asthma. But I'm determined to crush asthma to the best of my ability, and that is really the log on the inside that keeps that fire burning and keeps it burning substantially more than maybe for some others. But I've determined that I'm going to take my health into my own hands, and I'm going to do a lot of that through running and being more active and trying to run every day, and encourage others to try it. Maybe to try it for a week. If you don't like it after a week, take a break, reassess, run streak again later if you wish to, or don't if it doesn't work for you. For some runners, the every other day approach works fantastic. For others, older runners or runners with other issues, Galloway recommends maybe 3 days running a week and 4 days rest. If you're recovering from a major race, that's a great approach to kind of, get back to basics of rebuilding that foundation. But I think if you're training for any race, you want to set that foundation, get it in place, and then be able to have a build phase. And then you work into a taper phase where you're taking things easier, and then your target race, and then, recovery time where you're taking it easy. You're taking it easy on holidays like Thanksgiving or Christmas to spend more time with your family and not, going out for a 20-mile run on those days. That just it's not practical to do that here in the United States unless you're somewhere in the South, like Texas or Florida or Southern California or someplace like that. So anyway, for me, the present run streak will continue. Running a half marathon next month in Laughlin, Nevada. Part of that race is in Bullhead, Arizona. It's kind of interesting. It's a two-state, two-time zone race. So as someone who's obsessed with time, that's going to be very interesting for me to figure out what time it is, the point in that race where I'm running across the time zone lines and then back. So anyway, I want to thank all of you for joining us. Thanks, Muad and Mary Beth, for sticking with me here. And I want to encourage any of you who might need running coaching in any respect or running tips, get in touch with me any of the ways that I talked about, either through Twitter or I have a Facebook page called it's facebook.com/rungrooveshark. I don't have the ing on that one. It's just facebook.com/rungrooveshark. But if you if you want to like that page, I put a lot of my running content there, blog posts and such. So feel free to check that out. Love to connect with runners around the world. I'm very excited about this platform and just the ability to connect with people around the world, people close to us, people in the United States, people in Europe, Asia, Australia. I can't believe the people I've connected with just in my experience being here on Blab around 80 days. And I'm just very excited to be able to share any running joys or victories with any of you. If you've had running joys or victories, I want to hear about them. Tell me about them. I love great running stories. So, I'm sharing this story with you in the hopes that it will inspire you and your families, anyone who's interested in running or improving your health. I am training to become a health coach right now, also with the Dr. Sears Wellness Institute. A couple weeks into my training there, I've just decided that helping people transform their health and their mindset has really become my life's work. So through being a running coach, becoming a certified health coach very soon, and I also do life coaching. So encourage any of you to get in touch with me if you want to talk about running in any way. It's great to be with you today and share these tips. And I will have a run streak blog post up either today or tomorrow. I'm trying to decide which one to do it on, since tomorrow is technically the streak-iversary or run-iversary, and today just happens to be the 730th day, the completion of the run, of the 2-year portion of the run streak. But the streak will go on, and I'll leave you with the immortal words of Robert Frost. If there's one thing that I know about life, it goes on. 3 words, it goes on. And the show must go on, and we all must deal with our challenges and strengths and do what we can to strengthen others, work together, transform our lives want to wish all of you a wonderful Wellness Wednesday, Workout Wednesday, as we call it. And so this is Jeremy Murphy from Lincoln, Nebraska, also known as the Running Groove Shark, signing off. Have an awesome day, everybody. Bye.